The new trailer is here. Is everyone as excited as we are? We are super duper pumped. We had to get in on the excitement for this. It's been almost 2 years since we have seen these characters in action, and the Lord of Light just lit some new fires today with this trailer drop. First things first, did we notice Cersei drinking wine? Uh-oh, Cersei was pregnant when we ended Season 7. Was the Valonqar theory correct, and Cersei will only have 3 children? Gold their crowns and gold their shrouds. I have also heard it suggested perhaps this is the moment King's Landing is invaded by either the White Walker army or the Northmen post-war. Cersei is so overwhelmed by this, she sits down and pours herself a glass of wine, just like during the Battle of the Blackwater. It's out of her hands, so more wine. We start the trailer with Arya running through the crypts. I think that Arya is the frontline defense down in the crypts, keeping watch for when the dead get there. If we recall the teaser trailer we got a while back, when Arya, Jon, and Sansa are making their way through the crypts to the newly built statues, it appears Arya had come down a different avenue of the crypts than Jon and Sansa, who seemed to be walking down the main open corridor. It looked like Arya was running through the same side vein of the crypts in the new trailer. There are so many possibilities to where the crypts could lead, especially since we know a big area is broken down and inaccessible. Can I just say I hope they have a dragon down in the crypts that's going to blast some damn White Walkers trying to invade? They also cut to Arya holding a dragonglass dagger, saying she knows death and she is ready to see his face. We also get a few shots of our beautiful Lady of Winterfell, Sansa. We see her gazing over the walls at the dragons flying overhead and can only assume this is when Jon and Daenerys first arrive. I believe all of Sansa's teaser trailer shots we have gotten are all in early consecutive scenes. I think we can follow the dots from her seeing the dragons fly in, to her hug with Jon, to the "Winterfell is yours, your grace" teaser, to this concerned look. It would seem that all of these things could fit into a 30-second window of the show, so I hope we will have much and more of our Lady Sansa. We catch a quick glimpse of Varys hiding in the crypts with some unfamiliar faces, a quick shot of Beric, Dolorous Edd, and Tormund in a stony hallway, potentially back at Castle Black, and we see a very quick shot of Tyrion, and it looks like he might be back in King's Landing, or at least somewhere that doesn't have snow on the ground. We also see a quick shot of the forges and Gendry working away, likely making dragonglass weapons, or could it be Valyrian steel, now that he has dragons to work with? We see a shot of Jon and Daenerys' epic royal procession passing through Wintertown on their way to Winterfell. There are many shots of the dragons flying over Winterfell and snowy scenery in the north. We do see a shot of Jon and Daenerys approaching Rhaegal and Drogon, seemingly at a little roost they have set up because we see a lot of charred bones around them. What if this is the moment, after Jon has learned that he's the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna, that Daenerys says, "Let's give this a try"? It seems like romantic poetic justice that Jon ends up with Rhaegal, who's named after Dany's brother and Jon's father. Is this where the recent shot of Arya looking at something in the sky comes from? I believe she is looking at Jon riding Rhaegal. The people around her are busy bustling about, not paying much attention to what Arya is looking at. If the dragons have been flying around for a bit at this point, it might not be so much a spectacle as it was before, but I think Jon riding a dragon would definitely bring a tiny smile to our favorite assassin's face. I believe this shot of Daenerys and Jon in the crypts is after Jon finds out about his parentage. He is likely paying a visit to Lyanna's tomb and facing some hard truths right then, with Daenerys coming to comfort him and reassure him. This is probably a very difficult moment for Jon, processing becoming a born king and not a bastard. Kill the boy and let the man be born. Kill the bastard and let the king be born. We see a lot of preparation for the White Walkers, the armies getting ready, a little action between Grey Worm and Missandei, and Jorah getting ready for battle. We see Sandor Clegane surrounded by fire. We see Uncle Davos, who appears to be walking the walls of Winterfell. We see Brienne and Podrick, and can I just say, if Pod is not Sir Podrick fucking Payne at this point, for fuck's sakes, we should riot. Aren't you getting a little old to be a squire? We also see a few shots of Jaime. We see what appears to be him swearing to the Northern Army, stating he will fight for the living. I wonder if he's ratted out Cersei for her betrayal from the South. We see Jaime fighting, surrounded by fire. There are a few shots of fire all around Arya, Jaime, and the Hound while they're fighting, so my best estimation is the dragons are lighting up the White Walkers outside the walls. In King's Landing, we see shots of what appears to be the Golden Company aboard the Greyjoy fleet. We see Cersei and Qyburn looking out over the city, but she doesn't seem like she has a care in the world. I did not see any snow in King's Landing, so I don't believe the army of the dead have gotten south. There is some speculation on the teaser trailer we got with what seemed like a potential wall being created when ice meets fire, appearing to take place around the Neck or the God's Eye and the Isle of Faces. Will this come into play? Will the army of dead be taken care of at Winterfell? Does the army of dead split up and send some forces south or to other northern towns, while some head to Winterfell? We recently got promo photos for Season 8, and I saw something a few others kind of shot me down on, and maybe I was just hyping myself up. However, I really think that Jon's eyes look extra flinty and gray in his photo. I wonder if Jon has gone King of Winter on us. We know J.R.R. Martin loves Lord of the Rings and Tolkien, and I wonder if, in order to defeat the army of the dead, he had to make an arrangement with the Kings of Winter under Winterfell in the crypts. There is so much history surrounding the crypts of Winterfell, and many traditions that hold currently in the story. The dead Starks get their own statue at their crypt, and their bones laid to rest. The old Kings of Winter laid a sword across their laps, supposedly to keep their souls at bay. There are many suspicions of how this could affect the story, but if we follow Return of the King and the story of the dead men of Dunharrow, their souls were not allowed to rest until they had paid for their crime for deserting the King of Gondor and his people in their time of need. As an army of dead souls, they were undefeatable. Their choice to defend Gondor against Sauron's army gave Aragorn the chance to claim his kingship and grant their oaths fulfilled, and for them to rest at peace in death. Will the Kings of Winter be a similar story? And going back to the photo and Jon's gray eyes, will that be a part of the arrangement? Will Jon be required to swear an oath to always be the Stark in Winterfell, or the next King of Winter, somehow acquiring the stony glare of the Stark statues? The only way we can answer these questions is to stay tuned to the show. We are only 40 days away from the first episode of Season 8, so let's all build our paper chains and start counting down the days.